generations before the rise of the demigod, when the land had yet known of the almighty Steve, a cold taiga observed the presence of a bodiless deity, an unearthly force, waking between the shadows of a quiet village, and haunting villager Beloth. A villager was working in the forge in a taiga village. It was late at night, and he was armed with nothing but a small dagger. As he worked, something caught his attention, and finds another villager lying on the floor, motionless. Cautiously, he took a step closer to see if they were okay. It was only then he noticed the blood on the ground, and then, suddenly, without warning, the body pulled itself from the dirt, hanging me there like a puppet. The villager, shocked, lost his footing and tumbled to the ground. He glanced at the face of the body, only to realize it was completely disfigured. The villager ran towards the priest's house. The body remained in the air, staring menacingly in his direction. The terrified villager told the priest about what he saw outside. The old man, confused about why he was making a fuss, looked through the peephole. He saw nothing, but the thing was only toying with the blacksmith. When he took a look, he saw something dragging the body away. When he described what he saw to the priest, he mentioned the cartographer's apprentice, having a similar appearance with a birthmark above his eye, but she disappeared long ago. He must have been hallucinating. There was nothing there. He was just exhausted. Maybe he was working too late at the forge. But then he found something on the ground. A tooth, covered in blood, was lying where he found the body. This wasn't a nightmare, no matter how badly he wanted it to be. The next morning, the blacksmith thought it would be a good idea to pay the cartographers a visit. If what the priest told him about the body last night was true, he must know something related to her disappearance. He asked him about a girl with a mark above her eye. Indeed, that matched her description, but the cartographer mentioned she disappeared 5 years ago. She had this idea that there was something in the woods, some kind of ancient power or force, and she was trying to map that place all by herself, and she was very insistent on that. He also draws his attention to the pile of rubble that suddenly appeared on the village. According to the priest, it was meant for construction, but nobody knew how it got there. He then hands him Masha's notes. It was all she left behind, but he noticed something that surely will be familiar for some players. A note with the words him and Herobrine. That night, the weaponsmith took a look inside the book. Along with the unfinished cartography notes, he sees the location the cartographer mentioned. There was a hole in the middle of the forest, northwest of the village. The following page shows the depiction of an altar, with some torches and a pyre burning in the middle, followed by an ominous passage that reads, "He is the shadows, the wolves, the air itself. He is everywhere, like a sickness, and there is no cure to wake up." It was as if, in a way, Masha left those words as a warning, begging the reader to close the book and forget about the things he saw. But the blacksmith turned the page to find two things: a drawing of a humanoid creature, along with a single word: him. Trying to make sense of these words, a noise caught his attention from outside the window. He turns to his side to find the same creature staring at him from outside the window. His heart began to beat faster. He couldn't believe it was the same thing he just saw in the book. He takes an iron sword, opens the door of his house, looking in both directions, in search of whatever that thing was. The night was unnervingly calm. This couldn't be his imagination. He turns around to the interior of his house, and, to his complete horror, he sees it, staring directly into his soul. A human-shaped tower of blackness, a drop of ink spilled over the white paper of the room. Its only discernible features: a gaping jaw that extended down to its torso. The blacksmith ran away in fear, seeking the cartographer's aid. He wanted to know if he knew anything else about his missing apprentice. He didn't know what else to say, but it was pretty clear that he was affected by the same hallucinations as him. He also had feverish dreams, but their holiness taught him how to keep the evil away. The weaponsmith knew well that bullets and prayers won't help with this entity. Somehow, Masha manifested this thing into the world, and it followed them to the village. And now, he needed to be sure of something. He goes towards the pile of rocks outside the village. He had a hunch that this had something to do with that thing. But before he could even remove a pebble, the priest appeared behind him, as if he expected him to come here. He asked him what was he doing so late outside, disregarding his claims and the thing he saw outside. He said that it was all due to fatigue and suggesting he should get an apprentice himself to help him out at the forge. But then the weaponsmith noticed something that deeply disturbed him. As the old man departed, he noticed the symbol of his rose, the same sigil he found on Masha's notes. Even if he didn't know what it meant, it was clearly related to that entity. He needed to settle this once and for all. The next morning, he heads to the priest's house, sword in hand. He knew that he saw something that night. Even so, the priest still swore to know nothing about it. The weaponsmith rushed to the pile of rubble, kicking the stones. The priest tries to stop him and gets punched in the face. If it wasn't obvious by now, he was hiding something. The weaponsmith turns around to see what it really was, although a part of him probably wished that he hadn't. Beneath the rubble stood a sort of altar, the same altar he saw on Masha's notes. Unfortunately, his fears were true. The priest was a cultist of whatever this thing was. The old man stands up, his eyes turned completely black. He tried to choke the blacksmith. He didn't want to do this. He was trying to protect the village. There was nothing they could do now. His spell was already inside all of them. He was just trying to save them the pain. If he took his life now, he wouldn't be affected by the thing. But the blacksmith wouldn't give up without a fight. He takes a rock from the ground and smashes it against his skull, getting off his grip, finishing the job by slamming his skull with it over and over. For a moment, he thought that this was over, but the priest's blood that was spilled on the ground began to flow unnaturally towards the altar, and the nether rock on the middle light up in fire. A dark silhouette began to take form behind the fire, slowly adopting a humanoid shape, with two white glowing eyes. Then, two long legs emerged from each side of the figure, lifting it off the ground like a grotesque spider, holding its human torso. His face, or what tried to pass as one, lacked any familiar features. It only had a horrid, disjointed maw, a disturbing chimera of different monsters that tormented them at night. The thing lowered its head, trying to communicate with the blacksmith, repeating with a low, growling noise what sounded like, "I am Masha," in a sort of cruel mercy, or as a thanks for summoning it. It let him live, and goes on a rampage against the defenseless village. The weaponsmith was the only one with some tools to stop this thing. He rushes towards his workstation and picks up an enchanted book that usually might not be of much help, Bane of Arthropods. He uses it on a sword before the monster sees him. Of course, he knew better than to face this abomination up front. In the middle of the carnage, while the creature let out a scream of frenzy that, in reality, seemed more like a call from help, the weaponsmith lands two arrows on its back. The monster, enraged, throws him off his feet, then redoubles, piercing the ground with its front claws. The villager runs away towards the priest's house. There, he finds a single potion on the brewing stand, a throwing one no less. He jumps out of the window, but the monster was relentless. The potion he took from the stand was of instant healing, but this being was for sure an undead creature, and so it burned it on contact. The weaponsmith faces him, sword in hand. He braves himself up and challenges it, but suddenly, the creature sprouted two long arms, as if mimicking a dweller from the end dimension. He lifts the villager off the ground, causing him great pain as it crushed his arms with unnatural force. The beast opened his face even wider, letting out a ghoulish screech. This was it. The monster had him immobilized. Then, the cartographer threw an axe toward his thorax, letting him go. This draws the creature's attention, giving the weaponsmith a chance to cut one of his hind legs. Unfortunately, the cartographer wasn't that lucky, and the monster takes him out. There, filled with rage and with the creature severely injured, the weaponsmith raises himself once more for one final clash. The chimera adopts an offensive stand. It was now or never. And, in one single cut across his lower body, the monster was finally defeated. The man goes for the final blow, and there, he noticed the creature's size. It had the same mark the cartographer mentioned. This was not an apparition, a demon, or a monster. This was the work of something evil, toying with Masha's body, and she was definitely conscious during this whole carnage. But at last, she could finally be put to rest. He lowers the sword, carving a deep wound on its head. Her soul was put to rest. He slowly goes towards the cartographer's body, letting out all the grief and frustration from these 2 past days, breaking down in tears. But as he wept, the salt turned into iron, and tears became blood. His village was free, Masha was free, but the world was far from waking up just yet. Remember what the note said, that power, that force that Masha was looking in those woods, the same thing that turned her body into an abomination, and the puppeteer was right behind him. The being, loosely resembling the ancient builders of old, with 2 wide glowing eyes. With Masha's body now twisted and disposed, Herobrine will need a new body to possess, a new puppet to play. And the blacksmith was the lone survivor of the village. And that might be it for today. I hope you liked the video, and if that's the case, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. That really helps me and the channel. Leave me a comment down below to boost the algorithm and all of that. Anyways, thank you all for watching, guys, and I'll see you all next time.